Hi, I'm Cecilia Wirén and I work at Active Solution. We are a company that works a lot with Azure and great customers here in Stockholm. We're sponsoring events like this, as you see, this logo over there. And I usually like to talk about securing stuff. So this talk is about Azure App Configuration. And of course you should do everything secure. So it will not only be secure, but I will do it in a secure manner. So configurations, settings, they've been around for a while. When I started coding more than 20 years ago, it was with init file. The same as I have now, it was a key and value. You stored it at the computer when it deployed. You didn't touch that file. You deployed the application and let the init files stay. You basically wrote everything you needed to there. All the secrets, all the non-secrets. There were no kind of security awareness back then. And unfortunately, it still is sometimes. You see secrets laying around in different kinds of settings, files or systems, not encoded in any way. So this talk will be mostly demos, so I will jump out of PowerPoint and directly show you stuff. I'm going to show you how you can migrate a current application to use app configuration. I'm going to show you how to do it in a secure manner. I'm going to show you how you can integrate KeyVault with it. I'm going to show you how to add a self-refreshing mechanism. We're going to look at how we can manage different environments. And also at the end, hopefully we will manage to look at the feature flag, feature toggle feature in this product as well. So, but I want to start with a greenfield project and just show you how we can add it quickly in a new project. So for that, we just do, no, sorry, let's start by creating the resource. So, app configuration, or Azure App Configuration. We need a name here. Let's call it first. And there are two pricing tiers. It's one free tier, and the limitation here is that you can only have one Azure App Configuration if you use the free tier. You are limited on calls to the service. You are limited on not being able to use private endpoint as well. But you will come a long way with the free tier at the beginning anyway. So, but I'm going to use the standard here, yes, because I already have a free one. So let's create that one. Here. When it's creating, I'm going to create a new project. So let's just do .NET new web API. No. Like that. Opening it up. Just remove a bunch of stuff. I added my old pin controller instead of that one. Let's see. No, the right size so you can see. No. Wait. No. So, yes, so let's go to our controller. I don't know if you see. I'm going to zoom out. do it like this. Yeah, right. So let's yeah. So here we are injecting an I configuration, and we are gonna reply with a configuration value called test app message. So this is just regular code as usually. What we should do now is to add app configuration. So we need a package for that. Oh, let's see. Did I close it? This is strange. I tried to zoom in just for you to see, and now you can really let's see. Open. Let's see. There. There it is. So let's add add package for Microsoft.Azure.app configuration.ASP.NET core configuration. Så. That should be right. Yeah. So now let's hook it up to read its settings from that service. So this is a .NET 6 application. So it's nice and sweet, and we only have a program CS file. So we're going to add it in here and say builder configuration, add Azure App Configuration, and then we need a connection string. So let's go out to our created resource and go to access key and use the read-only keys, because this app doesn't need to write. And we're going to pick the connection string here that's containing an ID and a secret. Not ideally the secure way to do it, but for the first demo it feels okay. So that's that. Now we need to have these settings in the app configuration as well. So let's go back here and go to the Configuration Explorer and create a key. The key is the same that we had in code, and hello world. Apply. And you can see all our settings in this view. They are hidden by default. We can show them here, so we see that this key is mapped to this value. So now our code should be able to run .NET Build, and hopefully .NET run. That's my fingers. Happening. Sorry. Or no? Running. Sorry. I didn't see the links because I zoomed in too much. Let's see there, and I have a ping controller. So let's do ping, and there is the hello world. So that's how easy you can plug into the service with a new application. Just add the package, add your tell it that you're going to use it, and then start using the settings. But usually you don't do a greenfield project. Usually you have an application already and are interested in starting using this. So the rest of the demo we're going to use let's see, this app. It's a simple app. It has two different messages. One coming from the KeyVault, the other come from settings, and it's also settings for styling this page, so background font size and font color. So we have some things to play around with. And we can close this one, and here. So, as I said, we have a note. That's the second line of message, and then we have a style settings as well with background color, font color, and size. And currently we are using the app settings JSON file. In our code, we are reading up the note configuration. We also have this code to go out to the KeyVault and get a KeyVault value called message, and add that as well to the view data. And then in the view, we are reading the style configuration directly here, and also the message and the note. So we have a KeyVault also here with a secret called message. And the application is talking to the KeyVault with managed identity as well. So that's how it's set up. So now we're gonna just migrate over to app configuration from this simple app. So the first thing we need to do is add a package. So let's go to new package manager. Browse for app configuration. And we have this package for ASP.NET Core. I accept, I read this. And close there. So let's go to the old style of program CS, where we have our host builder function. And we add in here to the web builder configuration, app configuration. No, it's fooling me. There, and there we add config dot add Azure App Configuration, the same thing that we did in the grid field project as well. So if we're going to do it the same way, we're going to add the connection string here as well. Or sorry, yeah. So where are we? We had a what a bunch of times. How come we? Yeah, here we are. Access key, and we're going to connection string and add it as well. But yeah, let's do that now. Next step, we're going to secure it. I promise. So now we have hooked up to the service. Now we need to move our settings inside of the app configuration, and we can do it manually, as I did with the settings I showed you before. But we can also actually import from different sources, and a JSON file is one type of source you can import from. So I copy my path there, I go here, and I go down to import export. And as I said, a config file is something you can import from. You can import from another app configuration service as well. If you have one for like testing and what you want to copy over to production, or you want to set up a new one and you want to easily just set things up. Or you can copy from an app service. On an app service you also have settings you can set directly on that one. But for this one I choose configuration file. It's a .NET, it's a JSON. And I paste my URL. So, and then I select my separator. I want colon. I can add a prefix if I like. If I have several applications, I may want to separate them with a prefix. So my app demo is maybe my prefix for this app. I'm not going to use that now. Labels I'm going to cover later. So just apply, and hopefully we're going to see all the different settings here inside. Yeah, we have imported them all. So now we can remove them from our app settings JSON file instead. So, yeah, that should be it. Add a package, add a code, add the settings, and now I'm going to click publish and update.
Question.
Yeah.
Can we use both configuration in parallel? Some from file and some from online?
Yeah. Just let me start here, so while you wait for it, I can talk. So the question is, can we both use app setting JSON file and app configuration? The answer is yes. In the same way that you can use app settings JSON together with the settings in app services. So it's just layering stuff. So it's really all the different stuff and collecting them. So you can make a feature of having them, but don't spread them out too much because you don't have an overview. You're gonna need to have somewhere to save your connection to that configuration. So that's something that you may put in the app settings or in the Azure service settings as well. And you may need, maybe if you don't just manage the entity, you're gonna need things from the KeyVault to connect to KeyVault and so on. But it's a layering thing, so you're just adding more. So, fast. So it's the same app, it's the same style, but now settings are actually coming from the app configuration. So kind of easy to just migrate the current application. Of course, you may have more complicated scenarios, but this is how kind of easy it is to move. So now let's move over to do something about this connection string that's directly here, or the endpoint, sorry. So one thing we can do, if we are in an Azure environment and we have everything in the same subscription, we can use managed identity, and we're going to do that. But if you are in some environment that you need this kind of endpoint with credentials and so on, you should store it more securely. One way to do it is, of course, if you are in Azure, but for some reason can't use managed entity, you can store it in the app service configuration that we talked about, right? Because it has a section of connection strings down here, where strings are encrypted both at rest and in transit. So we could add our connection string right here if you like, but we're gonna add managed identity instead. So for that we need to turn managed identity on for the app service, and I only have it on because I've used it for the KeyVault here. But otherwise you just turn it on here, and then this is the identity, like the managed identity ID. So this is not the ID of that application, but the identity that's used when accessing resources. So that's already on, but let's go back to app configuration here. Sorry, rewind back to KeyVault. In KeyVault, you can actually do it in two different ways. One way is to use access policy, and you said that this ID, this app, are allowed to do these things. Or you can use role-based accessibility. So if the app has this role, it's allowed to do. But in app configuration, you only have the role-based. So you don't have the other one. So you need to go and add the role of an app configuration reader to your app. So from app configuration, I'm going to roles, and we're gonna see that, space there. There's the reader, the reader, sorry, we can't see here. And the reader have read access for configuration store. And we have no one assigned to it. So let's add that. Select the data reader, and so add managed identity, select members, Manage identity from app services. We're going to choose that, and we're also going to choose that because we're going to use a second environment later on. And sign. Here. And now we don't need the endpoint with the secret ID. We only need the endpoint. So we're going to copy this instead and go back and remove this one. Okay. And now I should rotate my secrets then, since I showed you them, but I'm going to remove this later also. So just like add what did I write here? Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So let's add that one to as a settings. So let's add no, sorry. Great. Och Azure App Configuration. So, then we have that one. Copy that one. Go in here. And then we need to do. Strange. I just get looking at my notes. It's a new demo, so sorry for that. We're gonna do big dot build to get this. String. I want it to store. One more there. And then we also need to tell the app that it's going to access this with managed identity. So, that's right. And then we're going to open up. Sorry, it was not. Yeah. So then we're gonna options. So we're gonna do this. Now I know. I'm completely out of what am I doing? No. No, something's wrong. It's hard to not see all the code. There we are. So just say that we're going to create a credentials. I need to not talk while so, new manage identity credentials. Please. Yes. And then options dot connect with a new URI. It's based on our settings. There. So now we are doing some more advanced things, and we're gonna expand this further with more options. But the first option say that we are going to connect with managed identity credentials, and hopefully this will work. Otherwise, it will be hard to continue this demo. And I hope, okay, it will happen now. It didn't. Okay, we have some more. Sorry, this is not. Where are we? An extra. No. Where are we? Oh, we have lost a couple of, no? Where is this? So there, I remember, remove. So, now that. Okay, now it's how to publish a broken application. So hopefully this will just work as usual, as before. Now we have removed the secrets. The next step we're going to do while waiting for this to load. Oh, no. Yes. So now it's up. As I said, so we have some code here that's going out to the KeyVault and read stuff. KeyVault values are basically as settings, just a little bit more secret than before. So it would be really nice to be able to do the similar way of reading it, like this, and just remove all this boilerplate code to be able to securely read it. So this is what we want. So basically we don't even know if it's a secret or if it's a regular settings in our code. So for that we need to let's see. We need to map the secret into the app configuration. So if we go here in the configuration explorer, here we can, besides create a key value reference, KeyVault reference, sorry. So here we can create, what do you call it? It needs to be called message. Something called message. And shows my KeyVault, shows my secret, and then apply, and map it into it. If I click the button to view the values, I'm going to see the URI to the KeyVault. So you don't actually can see them here. So they are still in KeyVault, they are still protected from KeyVault, and it's still required that the application have access to the KeyVault to be able to read it. So this is not a shortcut for an application. They still need to have the proper accessibility to the key as well. This is just a shortcut for a code. But we need to configure this as well. So inside here, so the options can be changed, but just to make it more readable for the different things we've done. So I'm gonna put it like that. So now we're gonna configure KeyVault, and we're gonna set what credentials we're gonna use. And since we are using managed identity for both KeyVault and that configuration, we can just reuse the same credential object as that. So now the app configuration class or object inside the code have the credentials to be able to read the KeyVault as well when we are starting the application. So let's see if that works. So this high cloudburst message is read from the KeyVault, so it still works. But now we have the simpler code when accessing the settings that actually is a KeyVault value. So So far, so good. If we now decided that we want to change anything, we can go inside of App Configuration here in Azure and say that we want to change the background color to, let's say, black. Apply. And if we go to the app, reload, we're still going to have white. So for the settings to be renewed, we need to restart the application. Same as usually, actually. But there is a way to be able to make it self-refresh as well. So let's add that option. Let's see. There. So let's go down here. And then we set option, configure, refresh. And refresh option. So, for the refresh options, we're going to register against a property, for settings. So in this case, we start by just registering against style, background color. Let's see, it was a big, let's see, yeah. I can get it wrong. Let's copy paste this. So
You've got style 2 times there.
What?
You've got style 2 times there.
Oh, sorry, thank you. I get style. So this will register against that settings, and when that setting is changed, it's going to update it. But it just to make it more performant, it has a caching time for 30 seconds. Depending on what settings you have, you could increase it or decrease it. In this case, I don't want to wait 30 seconds. I want to wait 30 seconds, just for demo purposes. So I'm going to change that. So let's say that to 5 instead. Move it down so you can see what the code. So 5 seconds is going to cache the background color value. Otherwise, it's going to refresh it and take a new value. So this should work a little bit better.
Is there any cost in getting data out of configuration?
No, but you have a limited number of calls you can do. So you need to think about how if you have the free tier, you're more limited than on the standard tier, of course. So you have to be in mind that 1 second, 5 seconds, maybe not the right way. And if you need to have a refresh every 5 seconds, maybe it's not the settings. It's maybe something that you need to store in your database or something. So now we got the black, of course, we started it up. So let's try to change it again. So let's pause there. Like that. And refresh it. 5 seconds cache is long while you wait. Or something is wrong. Come on. I put it 5 seconds, right? From seconds, 5 seconds. Go done. Save cache, style background. Style.
Could it be browser cache? Control F5?
I do control F5 actually. Come on. Is it not working?
Black is
Do you need to configure it to get?
Let's see if this was right. No, it's the same, right?
Did you publish?
I think I published. I publish again. Okay. Oh, yeah, right. No, sorry, I forgot something. So, when I did that, how would the app know when to refresh? This nothing is magic in the world. We need some code to run it. So you actually have two options here. Option one, if you don't have a middle tier, you could use the options dot, let's see what it was, get refresher, and then you get an object that you can call refresh on. So if you have an application where you don't have a middle tier, you can use this one and store it somewhere accessible. But we have that, so let's go to the startup file instead. Yeah, and here we're gonna add services, add Azure App Configuration, and app use Azure App Configuration. Well, so now you're registered with an object in the middle tier that can actually do this. So now it's gonna work. Good thing I have my notes here, so we can look at them. So while we wait for this, there is one. Yeah. That one. Hopefully it will be orange now. Yeah. So it's orange. I'm going to change it back to, let's say, white. Save it. Go here. Refresh. This one. Oh, sorry. Yay. A little bit of problem as well. We can't really register all our settings here. It will be a long list, right? So instead we can register for one settings, or several, of course. And when that setting is changed, it's going to refresh all the settings. So instead of using specific background color, you just use version, style version, and then we're going to state a boolean. We do a refresh all true. So now when the setting style version is changed, then everything is going to be updated, and not only one settings as well. So let's create that one. Okay, value here, called version 1. It doesn't matter, just as long as it's changing, but it feels more right to have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, of course, publish. So there is one little problem with this. It's absolutely amazing to do this, but probably in your startup process in your app, you're taking a value from settings from the KeyVault and creating objects to like connections to databases and so on, like a singleton and so on. And they will, of course, not be automatically refreshed with this option as well. So you have to keep that in mind. If you are using settings that are stored and used elsewhere, it's not going to be like automatically refreshed, but it's here anyway. So let's change a couple of things. Let's change the size of the font to 42. Let's change the font color to pink, and the back color to black. So, and now we can refresh the page how many times you like. It's not going to change anything until we change the version number here. That's our trigger. Version 2. Apply. Go to site. Wait for 5, and then we'll have the change. So that's how we can kind of auto refresh ourselves with the correct cache span period as well. Yes. So what about different environments? So if we look at inside our app configuration here, we can, to like say the font color, add a new value. So let's add black again, and we can do add a label to it. And a label, so let's just add a label, demo2, so you can see. So now we have this like grouping, so style font color. We have two values that are style font color. One is black, one is pink. One has no label, and one has the demo2 label. So we can specify what label we want to read. So we go inside here, and scroll down and do a new option. Options, dot, select. And the first thing we gonna state here is a pattern. So here, if you had a prefix when you imported the settings or something, you can use the prefix here if you like. But the star will actually like all the settings. So start with reading all the settings, then select all the different settings, but only the labels demo2. So now it's actually going to read in all the things to see here. And actually you can filter here on labels as well. So you can say no labels. So we're going to read in all these settings. And then in the next step, it's going to read in demo2. And that one is going to override the font color before. So it's going to read first pink, then black. If we specify the label demo2. And now I hard-coded demo2 here. That's not the way to do it. So let's use the settings instead. So settings, so I was going to call it environment or something. So we're going to deploy this to a different environment. So let's jump into there. To demo app 2. So this could be like your production environment, or the other one could be the dev test QA, or just a different instance, tenant instance for your customer or something. So let's go and add the settings of environment. It's really slow today. So add the application settings of environment, call it demo2, okay, save, restart, I don't care, and go here, and we could publish. No, we're going to publish to other there. Black and black. Right. So, and this one is black with pink. So now we have those both application up. Let's go and change stuff. So it feels like we need to change the background to white again. And then we're going to move away from the pink or the black one for demo2 as well. We're going to change that to so, and then we change your version, so we trigger update, and then we're going to see that this one is keeping the pink one getting white. This one is probably getting white, hopefully, with orange as well. So that's how you kind of separate your settings. You can use the prefix for loading specific settings, but most powerful are the labels. And the great thing is that you now can see all your different configuration from all your different environments in the same place. So you can compare and see if things are correctly or share settings. Before you had settings at 2 places, the background color would be in 2 places, and if you want to update it, you need to update it in 2 places. Now you can share settings, and you can share settings between different applications as well. It doesn't have to be the same application. So if you have like connection strings or different kinds of secrets or URLs or something that you are using with in your application suite in different applications, you can share them easily here. So that's basically everything with configuration. And if you have been paying attention, you have maybe seen that it's something called Feature Manager here as well. So that's the last thing I want to show you, and I think we have time. So feature switching is more or less often a Boolean. You can handle it as a setting as well, but you can also handle it with the Feature Manager. And why you want to do that is because here you actually have more than just on and off. You can do trafficking, so you can get like 40% of the visitor are using the feature switch in one way, and the feature with on and other 60 off. You can specify that if you are in like a beta test group, then use the feature switch on, and so on. So it is more powerful, and that's completely all the feature management stuff actually is like a session of its own. So I'm not going to go into that, but I just want to show you how it works. So for using the feature management, we actually don't need app configuration. It's a package that you can use without it as well. So feature management. So the thing you want is the Microsoft Feature Management, and in this case the .asp.NET Core. So that's the package that you really want, and that's the package that can do all this nice stuff that I talked about. Then Azure App Configuration has support for everything in that library as well. So let's go inside our model. So let's inject here the here. And then we're gonna read. Let's see. Let's add a feature toggle here. So let's call it show labels and make it on when you create it. So show labels. We have something called that. So go here, and then from the feature manager, let's so that needs to be awaited. Feature dot is enable async. Die. No. Sorry, lost a copy. So this will fetch that settings from app configuration, and the add label will be true or false depending on what it states. So just add simple if statement here. So if it's an add label, add a note, something simple as this. So you're gonna set the label before the value. And the same here. Wait, sorry. Add, no. So now we are using it. Now we also have to tell, you have to configure that we are going to use it as well. So we're going into our function here, and options, .use, feature flags. And same here is that we have a really long, for us, a really long cache timeout, 30 seconds. We're going to lower it. No, autocorrect. Autocomplete wasn't nice there. Sorry. We're going to set it. So there. So, 5 seconds. This. So now we're going to use it. Default it's 30 seconds here as well. We'll say 5 seconds. So now we got. Let's see. I've got something. Yeah, we have to add in the middleware as well. We need to say date that we are using services. Add feature management. So as well. So we have that something that can do the refreshing or the track of it. So let's publish it to Act 2. Many times. So now the feature is on by default. So now we can see our labels, message and note before. We go here and turn it off. And then we just refresh the page. And hopefully they will be gone. Yes, they are. So it's really nice and easy. And even if you are not looking at going to app configuration, you can use this library anyway. So that's a tip, actually. So we have 5 minutes left for questions. I know it's been a long day and a long demo as well. But does this make sense? Do you have any question how it works or not work or something? Yeah, in the back.
Maybe it's a part of what we didn't show about the feature toggling, but like if you wanted to try these labels for different users, how would you do that?
Use different labels. So not like a feature toggle, but more like
Feature toggle, but you want to try it on the demo users, something like that.
Specific audience.
yeah. I haven't actually looked into that one. I have read about it, but that part of app configuration I haven't done. But it's doable to like specify like a user, like an AD group, for example, or like just a percentage, or everybody that uses this web browser specific version and so on. So it's a kind of broad thing, but as I said, it's a different session as well. But it's a part of this, but it's not specific to this. So that's why I'm not prepared for something else. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah.
How would you go about with, for example, if you have an iOS or Android app that is depending on this feature? Would you create an endpoint from the REST API that you would consume?
Yeah, that's the kind of only option you have if you are not in Azure with the application. That you need to application there. You need those access key. So either you use the connection string here that contains the endpoint and ID and secret, or you have this one and those one like separate and you put them together. So the answer is to treat them as a secret as you usually do for that part. But you have the endpoints here to be able to to access it from a desktop application if you like. You are dependent on internet connection, of course. There is actually a kind of fallback in this library as well. So if they can't refresh the values or some stuff like that, you're going to use the old value. So if you just have an internet connection at the beginning, it will continue to work with all the values afterward as well. Yeah. I will call it. If you have any questions, you can come back later. I have a blog. I haven't blogged about this yet, but I hopefully in the next coming week I will get some posts up about this. Otherwise, you can ask me on Twitter or something if you like have links on all this here. Of course, there are different resources except my own. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for listening.